Morning, my friends. I'm Pastor Ben Hayes from First Baptist Church, Dadeville, Alabama, bringing you our thought for the day. And I hope that you are doing okay after the storms that rolled through our part of the state last night and early this morning. We're doing well. The church seems to have fared well. Let us know if you need anything because we are here to serve and to minister. But don't forget today, 10 o'clock, men, we have our men's Bible study. We're continuing through 2 Thessalonians. Then at 5 o'clock tonight, we've got our family night supper. We're having chili and chicken and dumplings. You can have both or either, and it's going to be good. It's always good. And then 5:45, our adventure club for young families. They have a great time up there doing their thing. And then at 6 o'clock, we have our prayer meeting and Bible study. We are back to our study of the book of Revelation this week, and we will be live streaming that as well. So come and join us. And right now, look with me at 2 Timothy chapter 4. Remember, Paul is giving his final words of encouragement to young Timothy, trying to help him to understand his role as a pastor, but also in doing so, helping us understand our role as believers, because all of us are part of this kingdom of priests with this responsibility to represent God to man and bring men to the Father. And the way we do that is to follow the very advice that Paul gives Timothy in verse 5. Watchful in all things, enduring afflictions, doing the work of the evangelist, and fulfilling your ministry. And I asked you to think about that yesterday. What is your ministry? And what do you need to do to fulfill that? But now as Paul begins to close this letter, listen to what he says. He says, "For I am already being poured out as a drink offering, and the time of my departure is at hand." Now, I want you to understand, Paul uses an emphatic I here. And basically what he's saying is, as for me, this is what's happening to me. Because what's going on with you and what I'm encouraging you to do, you've got to continue your ministry. You've got to keep working. But as for me, Paul says, I'm already being poured out as a drink offering. Now, this is important because he's saying this is happening as I am writing this. Well, what does it mean that he's being poured out as a drink offering? Well, back in the Old Testament, that was part of the worship services, the sacrifices that would be made. They would pour the wine out before the altar of the Lord, and sometimes on the altar for that sweet smelling fragrance to go up to the Father. King David did it when his men went to the well and got him the precious water that he longed for, and he wouldn't drink it because of the risk that they had taken. He poured it out in honor of them and in worship and praise of the Father. And Paul is saying, my life literally is being poured out already as he's in prison. Probably facing some very difficult hardships, some things that you and I would never want to have to go through. And he's saying it's as if my blood is already being shed and my life is being drained, but it is as a drink offering in honor of God, in service of God, in worship of God. And that's the way we need to consider our lives. No matter what's going on in our lives at this moment, what went on yesterday, what's going to happen tomorrow, we need to live our lives as if it is a drink offering being poured out to the Lord. Whatever it takes, whatever He requires of us, whatever He calls on us to do, we need to be serving Him in such a way that we are glorifying Him and honoring Him in worship. But Paul says this at the end of verse 6. He says, "And the time of my departure is at hand." He knows. He knows that his life will soon be over. It's interesting, as we worked our way through 1st and 2nd Thessalonians, we saw that Paul believed that Jesus' return was imminent, that he was going to return in Paul's lifetime. And now at the end of his life, Paul recognizes, that's not happening. But I am going to leave this life and go on to my eternal reward. And that's the way we ought to be living our lives until the very moment that we're breathing our last, believing that Jesus could come back at any moment. And I believe that He could. I believe that all of the prophecies in the Bible are pointing to a very near return of the Lord Jesus Christ. And I want to live my life as if He's going to come back before I finish this thought for the day. But I also want to live my life in such a way that I could say with Paul that my life is a drink offering, a sacrifice for the Father. I think it's interesting that the different metaphors that Paul uses back in Romans 12. Paul says, "I beseech you, therefore, brethren, that you present your bodies a living sacrifice, holy and acceptable unto the Lord," which is your reasonable worship. What's the difference here? Well, Paul's life then was he was living, giving everything that he had for the Father. Now he's dying and giving everything that he has for the Father. The key here is everything that we have given to the Father for his glory and his honor. How are you living your life today? Are you a drink offering being poured out regularly before the Father? If not, think about what you need to do to allow God to use you in a way that would cause you to say, I'm giving everything to you. Be blessed today. See you back here tomorrow.